Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. In this series, of course, we see opening principles, middle game strategy and middle game planning, and of course the end game strategy. So today I wanted to talk about some middle games again and again with this bishop pair. I promised you many videos. We are creating sort of a mini series with this bishop pair because I really think it's an important one to see, and you should know all of these possible ideas for your opponent while playing against the bishop pair. So today we will do this doubling pawns idea by your opponent. So your opponent is giving up his bishop pair in order to create a weak pawn structure by doubling up your pawns, but you should really play on the simple principle. When you get this doubling pawn situation, you should try to undouble your pawns. So I think it's not a tough idea. When you have this double pawns, you should try to undouble them and try, of course, gain the advantage in the middle game by having your bishop pair. I have explained in this mini series the importance to have a bishop pair, and they're really working fine combined, and basically what you have to do is undouble these pawns because that's your main weakness in your position. So the first example that I wanted to show you, it's a game by Hikaru Nakamura against Saruna Sulskis, and here in the next move we have here bishop on c3. So you see black is giving up his bishop pair, but he creates this one weak pawn structure. After b takes c3, we have now this doubling pawn situation, and of course it could be a weakness in long term. So what we have to do is, of course, to undouble this pawn. So let's see now how Hikaru Nakamura does it here. After d6, bishop on d3, now e5, knight on e2. Here we have e4, bishop on c2, bishop on e6, and now knight on g3, attacking this pawn. So you see, if black tries maybe here d5, that's good for us because we can undouble our pawn here and play c takes d5, and it will be perfectly fine. Again, we are continuing the game with the bishop pair. So you see, if maybe d5, we have c takes d5, and then maybe we can play on such ideas, maybe bishop on b3, and try to push the pawn forward. So after knight on g3 and bishop takes on c3 was played, knight takes on e4, knight takes on e4, and here Hikaru Nakamura manages to do that in a different way. Here we have bishop on e4, but now we have troubles maybe here to castle because, of course, the bishop is covering the f1 square. So here after d5 we have bishop on c2, castling, and now queen on h5, creating checkmate threats on h7, g6, we have queen on h6, now queen on f6, h4, queen on g7, a trade of queens on g7, and now bishop on b3, bishop takes on b3, and now a takes on b3. I hope you realize that white is better here because we can create this situation in which we have pawns on both sides of the board, and of course in this position the bishop is better, and Hikaru Nakamura managed to win the game, although it was a tough battle. Let me see, well, many moves were played, 72 moves, so I'm not gonna explain you, of course, all of these moves. I just wanted to realize this idea. When you have this double pawn situation, you should try somehow to undouble the pawn. So you see, Hikaru Nakamura has a very nice attack on the a file here with this rook. He can also play ideas like c4 and gain some space. So Hikaru Nakamura, of course, one of the top grandmasters these days, managed to win this game. So let's see now another example. Here is also a game from a semi-Slav defense, and it was a game here, Emanuel Lasker with the former world champion, with the white pieces against Joseph Henry Blackburn, and you see, Emanuel Lasker has the bishop pair, but it's not a good bishop pair so far because we have this double pawn situation on the f file, and of course we want to get rid of it. So how to do that? Let's see now Emanuel Lasker's idea how to to undouble this pawns, he played first knight on e2 with some preparations, of course, maybe to play the move f5 immediately, but of course maybe he also here to bring the knight on g3, which could be also a good defensive square, a defensive piece against maybe this like square problems around the king after castling. So here after queen on b6, queen on c2 was played, and now queen on d8. Now f5, very strong move. We have e takes f5, bishop takes on f5, and you see now when we have undoubled now our pawns, now we were perfectly fine, and we have also a very good central control with our own pawns. And as I said, our goal is also, it was explained in my previous video, while playing against these knights, chase the knight, so you simply push away and restrict the knight's activity and of course the mobility. So as you can see here, of course, white has the possibility to push the move e4, then after that e4, and really kick away this knights, and of course gain some space while doing that. So here g6 was played, bishop on h3, castling. So you see, Manuel Lasker isn't worried even here to castle, because after bishop on g2, and I want you also to know something about the bishops. The bishops are also very good defensive pieces. So you see, when we have this bishop on g2, there's no way for this knight to attack the bishop, because we can play here maybe e4. The knight cannot jump because of this knight, which is also a good protector. So as I said, our main goal is to chase these two knights, this knight on d5 and this knight on f6, and gain some space. So knight on h5, now e4, knight on c7, and you can see this knight is not well placed here on c7. It's really out of game. So here f4, we have bishop on f6, and again e5. Now Manuel Lasker creates really good space control here with his pawns. Rook on e8, bishop on g4. We have bishop on g7, rook on f2, very good defensive move, queen on h4, and now we have rook on g2, and this rook is really dominating now on the g file. What we have to do is improve the position of this pawn while pushing in on here on f5. Knight on d5, rook on f1, f5, and now bishop on e1 with this in between attack on the queen. Here we have queen on e7, and now bishop takes on h5, g takes on h5, and now you see this is a very weak pawn structure here around the king. So these three pawns are really an object of white's attack. So here rook on f8 was played, knight takes on f5, rook takes on f5, queen takes on f5, knight on e3. This was sort of a tactical idea here by black, but it's already a losing game. Here after queen on g5, we have queen takes on g5, rook takes on g5, and now knight on f1, king takes on f1. After rook on f8, we have bishop on d2, and you see we have here 6 pawns against 5 pawns, but basically these 2 pawns are 1 pawn, because now black has this double pawn situation, and of course our goal is here to push f5, f6, and Manuel Lasker managed to win this game very easily with this very strong pawn structure in the center. So again, you saw again this idea is just simply to undouble these pawns, create this open position for the bishops, and I think it's really not something that's hard to memorize. Let's see now another example. Here it was a game against between Alexander Fier against Alexander Grishchuk. Here the top grandmaster Alexander Grishchuk with the black pieces, and he has also doubled pawn on the f5. So it was a game in this so-called Trompovsky attack. This is really strong attack, I think, while playing against this move knight on f6 in the first move. So in this position, you see again we have troubles while playing with our bishop, because this bishop is blocked out here by this knight. Of course, we don't want to get rid of our bishop pair. I've explained it in my previous video. So when we have the bishop pair, you just want to stay onto it, and when you have to give it away, at least to create some ideas and some positional threats. So here knight on 7 was played, with the preparation to play knight on g6 and maybe push the pawn here on f4. Again, we want just to improve the position by undoubling these 2 pawns on the f file. Bishop on f1, g5, very strong move. Bishop on g2. And I also want you to notice something when you have the bishop pair. When you're playing with your bishop pair, you don't have to worry that the position gets too open. Of course, we want to open the position, so this g5, although it's weakening here, maybe the castle king here, it's really not a problem, because the bishops, as I said, are good defensive pieces. You can defend yourself with your 2 bishops. And of course, we really want to get this position open. So here, knight on g6 with the preparation to play the move f4, queen on d3, rook from f to e8, rook from a to d1, and now h5. You see, Grishuk is simply attacking because there's no way that maybe white will try maybe somehow to open here the position on the king side, because he's scared. White is really scared to open the position on the king side because of the very powerful bishops. And as I said, if the position gets open, this could be deadly for white. So c4, we have d takes c4, queen takes on c4, and now f4. Finally, we are undoubling these pawns. So here e takes f4, rook takes on e1, rook takes on e1, and now we have g takes f4, and now knight on e2. And you see, now finally the position is opened like we want it to be for our bishops. Of course, now Grishuk has a huge advantage. We have here a very nice diagonal for this bishop, and I hope you realize now this bishop is really strong, but that was only possible because Grishuk played on the simple idea to undouble his pawn. So bishop on e6, we have queen on c1, f takes g3, we have h takes g3, bishop on g4. Knight on f4, knight takes on f4, we have g takes f4, and now rook on c8 attacking the queen, queen on d2, rook on c4. You see, now black has a really good coordination with his pieces. Rook on e8, again, no problem here for Grishuk, because he has a very good square for the king. And again, we are attacking this very weak pawn on f4. So here, f5, queen takes on f5, we have rook on e5, queen on f4, rook on g5, and now Grishuk finds a very strong move. He plays the move king on f6. So you see, very strong idea. Now we have rook on d5, and with this bishop pair, the king is really not endangered here on f6, because the bishop, again I'm repeating, are also good defensive pieces. They're covering many squares here in the center. Rook on c1 with the check, bishop on f1. Now we have queen takes on d2, knight takes on d2, and now king on e7, king on g2, rook on c2, knight on c4, rook takes on f2, king takes on king on g3, and now rook takes on f1. Many moves were played after that, but here I hope you realize with this piece up, Grishuk also managed to win this game very easily. And here he showed the power of the bishop pair by simply undoubling these pawns. So I hope you realize this idea. When you have this double pawn situation, try to undouble it somehow. Be careful, of course, by doing that. Try to play actively with your bishops, and try to put it on very good diagonals, because you will use them also as a defender for your king. But also don't be too scared, because you have the advantage of the bishop pair. You want the position to get opened, and you see here it was a really good example by the top grandmaster Alexander Grishuk. The bishops worked perfectly fine, and I really like this game, because I think it's very instructive. So I hope also you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can also watch my other basics in chess videos with its opening principles, middle game strategies, and the end game strategies. And you can also watch my King's Indian videos if you have troubles while playing against d4. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.